Being high is euphoric. It is magical. It is something beyond words. When you get high, you go into another place. You can feel and be and sense pure love, warmth, comfort, joy, like all the things that seem to be portrayed as normal in movies, or like everyone else has this feeling figured out but me, and I only feel it when I'm high. I only feel it when I am connected to something that is so detrimental to my health, but I love it so much. Being high is a feeling we chase. It is a cat and mouse game. It is something we love. It is the only thing that makes us feel something. Sometimes we don't even know how to find happiness and joy without a substance. We can't even understand what it means to be whole. We want to be trapped and intertwined with things that are so toxic to us, things that are killing us, things that are not going to allow us to live a long and fulfilling life without relying on this crutch, without relying on this crippling tool of ours. We are magicians, we are manifestors, we are creators. We have the ability to create this alchemy of our reality and to be whatever we want. Your dreams when you were a child, everything you ever aspired to be, you are capable of these things. Yet our obsessions and our addictions stop us from obtaining this in our life. I'm going to share a poem that I wrote about obsession and addiction and my childhood and trauma, just to kind of give you this understanding as to what is actually going on, because we're so lost. We're so lost. I really imagine it like this garden, okay? This is like the Garden of Eden concept, because take religion 1000% out of the picture and just listen to this. So in all of the amazing fairy tales we listen to as children, which is why we're so connected to magic and the stories of unicorns and rainbows as children, is because we're closer to source when we're children. So the Garden of Eden is like this source of light, let's say. And around that light is just the feeling we get when we're high. That's the Garden of Eden. That's source. That's creation. That's like the garden we're disconnected from. And we're incarnating into these bodies, these vessels, to get our consciousness back there somehow. You know what I'm saying? Because we are energy, frequency, and vibration. So our energy is vibrating at a frequency that's dense enough, heavy enough, physical enough to reside in 3D, but it wants to get back to a place of wholeness, which is not going to be this dense and heavy. This is not going to be that, So when you're getting high, that's what you're doing. You're becoming out of body. You're disconnecting from this physical vessel that is weighing you down, because you want to get back to source, which is the garden, which is bliss, which is euphoria. You know what I'm saying? This is utopia. And to our perception, that seems perfect. It seems like, well, why would we leave there, But we also don't know the perspective there because of the amnesia we're experiencing, the memory loss, the disconnect, through the DNA information. That source clearly, what is it called? I think in scripture it's described as like a veil over your eyes, like just like when you're 6, your perceptions versus when you're 60, all the wisdom you've acquired, you're not going to see life different, because the veil is going to be lifted time and time again through experience. So it's hard to perceive the memory loss, the amnesia, when spirit is specifically your spirit, your higher self, your connection to source is blinding you from realities until you learn and acquire wisdom in that area. So how and why are we so obsessed and addicted, right? I'm really starting to see clearly how we are in denial. So a lot of the times when you just want to be happy, you just want to feel good. You want to feel good. That's what we want. We want to feel whole and good. We want to have a loving mom and a loving dad and a loving family with siblings and friends and kids that just, we want to all feel a sense of community with each other, right? We want to feel nurtured and guided and heard, right? Well, those that have addiction and obsession issues, as a child, we didn't feel that nurturing. Like, what is that, right? When you were a child and you didn't get nurturing, what did you do? You probably cuddled with your stuffed animal. And then when you got scared every night and you went to find your mom or dad and they were passed out drunk on the couch or arguing in their bedroom, which was scary, right? So you had to learn to cope. Let's say your parents weren't there. Let's say they were drugged out in the basement, or let's say they just were emotionally unavailable. Like when you were a small little child, did you have that? Did you have that sense of security and warmth? Did it feel warm in your home? Can you remember? Because also just blacking this stuff out is very common too. Just like, I don't even remember my childhood because it was so traumatizing that I don't even want to see it. I don't even want to face that reality. We also learn by observing. That is monkey see, monkey do. That is our nature. That's part of who we are. So, the exact same reason why if you're born in Sweden, you're going to have an accent. If you're born in America, you're going to, it doesn't matter. You're going to observe and acquire what you learn through your environment. So regardless if you want to carry the baggage with you, you're going to carry traumatic baggage with you. And a lot of what's happening is our generations, it seems like it's growing with each generation. I'm a millennial, and within that generation at least, or in coming forward, it's like we're really, really trying to sift through. This is, again, the wheat and the tare. So in scripture as well, it talks about the wheat and the wheat. I'm going to describe it. I can't think of what it's called, but this is what that is. So it's like all the weeds that are growing within the nice stuff, like the garden that you're creating, like if you're growing tomatoes, but then there's weeds everywhere, or if you're growing beautiful flowers. It's like, cut it all up, right? At the end, when they're together, and then you just get rid of the weeds, because the weeds grow with the beauty stuff. On an energetic level, we want to get back to love. We want to know, I had a very unstable foundation. And honestly, anxiety, fear, depression, trauma, drugs, obsession, addictions, codependency, narcissism, all of this stem from childhood trauma, period. And obviously psychological bloodline issues as well. But a lot of us can heal. A lot of us can choose to heal if we choose to look in the mirror, if we choose to see our issues. It's hard. I've been looking at this for years. I started off with daddy issues and then in denial of my mommy issues because I didn't know. My mom was there physically. She was physically present, but my dad wasn't there. So I just assumed he was the bad guy because she told me so, right? And tornado it to the future. And it's like then, after years and years of daddy issues, of always having that abandonment, loss, codependency, trauma of never knowing where he was, why he wasn't there, anything, and not even noticing or realizing that it was abnormal to not have my dad around. After 20 plus years of that, Then realizing, well, shit, my mom was fucked up too. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I had no idea. It took me years and years to realize this. And now being a parent, I'm now seeing how I'm affecting my children. And if I don't stop myself, it's going to pass down to them. And we have to really, really work on this, guys. I'm gonna share this poem on a collective level. Things are not individual as much as we perceive them to be. So I call this my sister's truth, even though it's our truth, but I call it my sister's truth because I was observing. I really observed as a kid my mom and my sister's drama in front of me, and I was the youngest. I felt like I had two big sisters. My mom and my sister, I felt like they were my big sisters. And then as I got older in my 20s, I felt like the big sister of them. So it was just really, really an odd dynamic. But let me explain as best as I can. So my sister's truth. Since I was young, I watched my sister be abused, abandoned, neglected, misunderstood, and misused. Sex and porn, the addiction to the physical body, is such an issue. Forgotten and ashamed, she clung to men and addictions. Let me tell you our story with passionate conviction. Our parents split before I was 6. She was older and was caught up in the mix of our parents' conflicts. See, I don't remember life when our parents were together, but my sister, the memories will stick with her forever. My first memories were of my mom and my sister fighting, kicking and biting. Not too much of my memories are exciting. I don't even remember much of my dad. From what my mom told me, he took everything we had. An addict, she left him, our family broken, and took us out of state. Ran for her life, abandoned him, and my sister began to grow her hate. My sister loved our dad very much. He wasn't perfect by any means, but they had a bond. He planted love like a seed that no one could beat. She declared from there that she would always fight my mom's choice. She began to scream and yell and overly exert her voice. I became a middleman, a mediator, unnoticed and used. A little girl playing devil's advocate, learning mental abuse. I thought this was normal. This was love, but music and art helped me see through. I was too young to understand the patterns and traumas I called reality. Until one day I saw other families love and care for one another, which pulled this toxicity out of me. My sister, on the other hand, chose flirtation and fixation. She never felt love, so she attracted that vibration. She needed her dad, so she went looking for him in other men, wondering deep inside why he never returned like the hand on a clock spins. A mom at 16, suicide attempts and paranoia kicks in. Seeking outside validation, not self-love, she became an unstable vixen. Beautiful, but couldn't see it. Anything she wanted, she could be it. But instead, in the mirror, she saw something different. Lost hope and faith in others' words, and abandonment issues began to arise. Putting faith in abusers as long as they made her feel pretty, these men in disguise. I tried to help over the years. It was just us 3. But as time moved on, it went from 3 to just me. Instead of chasing the dream that I could have a normal family, I began to create my own and had lots of issues myself. Now a mom at 17, instead of just a book on a dusty shelf. Something to love and something to love me. Indescribable, my first real feeling of true love. I had a daughter, and no matter what, her I'd always be proud of. She was perfect. I had to do everything in my power to be great. It has taken me years to break the walls in my mind to give her a fresh slate. Add a better life than I had. To know better than me is all I wanted. She became the center of my being. Tupac always said, keep your head up. I ain't mad at you. Don't cry. But M said, go get 'em. Clean out your closet. Take no shit. Fuck them, bitch. Die. Sorry for the language. This is to make a point as to why. Over the years, I became cold as my tears began to dry. In youth, these two men taught me everything from unconditional love to how to express my pain. I will forever be grateful and not take neither of their messages in vain. There's beauty in pain. Don't let it drive you insane. Don't pass down the traits that didn't serve you well. Share your experience. Everyone has a story to tell. Years have gone by, and telling this tale isn't easy to do. I just want to express choices and circumstances affect us all. If you choose the path of least resistance, you will hear the call. Choose wisely. Your situation can make you stronger, as pain can be a tool. Or it can make you weak and blind, how you use others like a fool. Not all were as lucky as me to choose a higher path. Some choose hate and darkness, and their heart fills with wrath. I'm not perfect by any means, that's for sure. I learn every day and will forever grow and explore. We all have free will, and nothing given to us is more than we can handle. If it's overwhelming, that's because it's a lesson. We mistake this. It's hidden by self-deception. Whatever your situation, you can make it. It's not too late. Even a murderer can make it through the golden gates. It's all about what you do right now today. You can be anything. Don't listen to what others say. You're special and unique and have a purpose to fill. You just have to surrender to love and truth. The universe will provide. It will. Faith is a test of who can perceive beyond general consensus. Faith is personal to you, and denying it is tremendously expensive. Your journey is a cycle of your soul path. Rise above the pain and trauma. Graduate the school called life and get your human experience diploma. Let go of the pain. The answer won't fall out of thin air. It takes effort on your part to see sunshine on a cloudy day. Positivity is key to you finding your way. Never give up. Always persevere. It's never too late to start fresh. Every journey starts right here in the moment. I truly, truly, truly understand what it means to be high, the feeling that you get when your dopamine and serotonin and your receptors are just like firing in your brain, whether it's from nicotine or meth. Like the extremes are all over. The extreme can be either way. You can be addicted to coffee. I used to be addicted to coffee. And it's the problem with addiction is even when you let it go, it still haunts you. You still are tethered in some sort of way, even when you let your addictions and your obsessions go. A year ago, I let go of a lot of my addictions because I'm on this journey to grow to a place where I can get back to the place I was when I was a kid, when I lived in La La Land, to the point where, but also have the experience and the wisdom of an adult. Like I want to feel bliss and happiness and joy and laughter like a little child does with purity. I want to authentically not need anything outside of myself to feel this wholeness, okay? So last year, I cut it all out. Even things that I freaking love, like chocolate. And when I say I cut it out, I mean like my addiction. Like I modify it. Now it's a moderate thing. Like, okay, I'll bring it in every once in a while. But I'm telling you, I cut out cigarettes, smoking weed, vaping, any drugs, anything that I was doing, right? And even coffee. Coffee was an addiction for me. I used to love chocolate chip cookies at night because they made me feel so comforted before bed. I just loved my chocolate chip cookies. I'm talking about even my vegan chocolate chip cookies. They're this big and fat, okay? And I would have three massive cookies right before bed. And then it used to be ice cream. And then before that it was strudels. And then before that it was cereal. It's always some type of sugar, right? The sugar high. And I'm sure hard drugs too, guys. Like we're talking, I mean, I literally know so many people. I've grown up around addicts. I am my own addict through bloodline. It's just ridiculous. The way that addictions attach to us is through DNA. Being an addict, being obsessed is in my blood. I am quite literally attached. I am the breaker of this chain in my family. The one who's going to stop this all from passing down to my future seeds and generations through my blood, because there's been so much in my family, so much broken, traumatic. Obsessions and addictions come from a source. When you were little, you didn't want to do meth. You didn't want to do heroin. You didn't want to smoke weed every day, right? You didn't want to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol, right? When you were 5, when you were 10, these weren't things that you needed because you felt joy without it, right? What happened? What happened to us when we were pure and innocent little children? What did life throw at us? What traumas and programs are now instilled in ourselves because of the external world? Our internal reality has been altered through the outside world. How do we get back? To this day, when I see someone smoking a cigarette, I want a cigarette so bad. It's the smell. I'm not saying it smells good, but the smell triggers my mind, my brain, to the memory that says, yes, that feeling of nicotine just going through my blood, just, ooh, right? But you know what? There's nothing that can compare to the high that I see little kids in. Like, I don't care what drug it is. If you watch, just observe little children. This is also why there's a lot of information out there on adrenochrome, which that's something I may get into, but I just want you to understand what it is. Adrenochrome is said to be some of the dark forces, the dark beings, the energetic spirits in this realm that utilize the essence of a child. So basically a lot of the kidnapping cases and everything that we know about in this dimension, a lot of these children are being taken and used for their adrenochrome, which is their essence, their being. And you see that high, that euphoric and just blissful state that they're in. It's like that is something that we all want, but we have no idea how to get there and why we left there. What is the disconnection? I'm starting to understand that this is all connected through DNA. And our DNA is literally like information at its core. We are, through our ancestors, through our parents and then their parents and continuing on, we are sharing information, and we are taking along with us so much baggage that's not our own. And then we are creating illusions in front of our minds as to what is actually going on in our reality. Follow me. We are creating illusions as to what's actually going on. Like, for example, let's say you have a food addiction and you just don't understand like why you can't lose weight. Well, when did you become obsessed with food and why? I really just want people to know that you are not alone. All the darkness, everything you've ever been through. Sometimes it can seem so isolating when you are going through this trauma, these experiences. I literally had to completely disconnect myself from everything I ever knew. I had to let go, distance myself, love and let go, forgive and let go. right? And I'm still doing it. I'm not perfect. I'm still growing. I'm still expanding. That perspective, the perspective I have in my poetry is the observation I made. I'm no better than anyone. I'm no better than my sister. I'm no better than anybody's circumstances. We all have a choice. And sometimes, whatever works for you to heal, whatever gets you back to wholeness is what's best for you, whatever that may be at the time. We really have to learn that the way that kids live in joy and happiness is because they live in the moment. They don't allow the past and the future to stumble them. They may be excited about, if you tell them, an event's coming up or something like that, they may get excitement about the future, but most often a child exists in the now. Children have such an understanding of this, that right now is all that matters. Tomorrow and yesterday are gone to them. Like, they're not even here because they're right. The only now is now. That's why when you're high, that's why when you feel that sense of blissful joy or drunk or whatever it may be, that's why you want to be there. That's why you want to chase that hit when life is boring and normal. Sometimes I've even made observations or witnessed, someone having, even myself, having everything, right? Everything you've ever wanted right in front of you, but you're still fantasizing about that thing, that obsession, that fixation, whatever it is. Because you're not content in the moment. You're not content in the now. You're still chasing the illusion that your child self, the internal child, is still disconnected from. You could be 40 years old and literally be a 14-year-old child on the inside. Or at least the 14-year-old child version of you on the inside may be pulling the puppet strings. You may be literally a teenager, which is so common. Like, I'm really seeing this, especially when these traumatic events come into play. Like, let's say you're around that person that created this trauma for you, that parent or that sibling or that aunt, uncle, grandpa, whoever. Or even as a parent. Like, I literally am seeing how traumatic that is. Passing that down to your own children is heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking when you're fighting your own self, when you can't even be a good parent because you don't even know how. You don't even know how. Like, how shitty is that? I just want people to know that taking a step today in the right direction is the only way to heal. No matter what it is, no matter what the source or the destination is, taking a step right now is the only way to move forward. And then taking another step and then another. And even if you fall, get the fuck back up and just keep going. Because if we keep letting our children's selves, our child self, steer the wheel, you know what I'm saying? We have children raising children at this point. Like, we have to be adults and heal our inner child. We have to do the inner work, the shadow work within ourselves to really find out why we want the drug, why we are so addicted and fixated and obsessed. I think that made a lot of sense. So I'm going to leave it there. And I just, again, really want you to really think to yourself, where am I? Where am I? Am I in a rabbit hole? Am I trapped in my feelings? Do I have strong connections or disconnections with people and traumas and things like that? How do I heal? How do I heal this toxicity out of me? How do I let it come up out of me? Like, literally, get out. Like, I don't want you in here anymore. How do I do that? Ask yourself these questions. It's years, and if you experience years and years of trauma, you're probably going to need years and years of treatment. Self-treatment, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like at a facility or anything, but there's so much. But I think for now, I'm going to leave it there. If you could like this video, definitely comment down below what you experience. If I can elaborate, if I can create a topic, a content around something specific that you can think of that relates to anything that I talk about. And also subscribe to the channel so you can help me grow and reach more people with my videos, especially those that need lots of healing and trauma and like to talk about really, really deep, cool things that, you know, are ever changing and can heal us all as a society on an individual level so the collective can come together individually first so we can come back together as one. So thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you again next time.